We knew that Chuck Berry was a hard person to live with. And a friend of mine in town, Neil Merrill, said, let's bring him in. I said, you want to partner with me? And he said, sure. I said, now you know, we can call all the places he's played, he's always been a problem. He's got this hang up about a certain amp he's got to have. And he knows there none of them around. But we happen to have Cascade Sound here in town, Larry Carroll, who has all the right stuff. So Larry brought it over, so we had it. And he saw it and he says, well, that's not the one I use. I said, well, that's what's in your rider, that's what you want to use. He said, well, I'm not going on, you got to give me another $1,000. And it turned into pretty sticky. And I gave him a check for $1,000. And he took it and went on. And I had Johnny Lynn with the lug nuts back him up, and he was real mean to him, just mean to him.
I think probably the first thing that happened that night was that he stopped the show after maybe one song and decided that his amps weren't pointed quite the right direction. So we had to move them maybe 3 inches, you know, and then he was happy with that. So we thought, well, this is going to be some night. We better be careful, you know, with what's going on. Probably another 2 or 3 songs into the set, he stopped the show, turned around and hollered for the stage manager and said, I don't play another song unless you get me a new drummer. I mean, it was just devastating for a drummer especially, who had been playing for him 3 times already. And they had even talked and been like buddies, kind of, you know, and for whatever reason, he decided he didn't like the way our drummer was drumming that night, and he stopped the show, literally. And the strange thing about that is they pulled a drummer who had played in the band just before us, who was in the beer garden, having a couple of beers, pulled him out of the beer garden and said, do you want to play drums for Chuck Berry? And he got up there and he didn't. He was scared to death. He was a country act drummer. Doesn't mean he couldn't drum rock and roll, but that wasn't what he knew. And he played, and Chuck was just fine with that, just had no problem. But I mean, it was just one horror after. And then I think during that show also, he stopped it again. And he doesn't allow, in his contract, there will be no pictures taken, no videos of me performing. And there was a lady out in the audience who was taking pictures, and the flashes, on about the 3rd flash, he stopped the show again and said, I don't play another song until that person with the camera brings it up here. And so the show stopped, and by that time the audience was just, I mean, they were kind of like booing him. They had enough of this guy, you know, no matter how big a hit he was, how many songs he'd written, they were done with him, you know. But he took the film out of the lady's camera and let her take the, you know, camera back, and he said, okay, now we can keep playing. And
so he finally got through and left there and said, what are you going to do? I said, I've already done it. They said, what'd you do? I said, I canceled the check. And they go, well, he'll get upset about that. And I said, well, he's gone. He's not even in town anymore. Sure enough, the union called me a couple of days later and said, you can't do that. And I said, you know what he does and what he is. Now, you want to take that to court, or what do you want to do with it? Never heard about it again, ever.